Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I watched a little bit of Les 25's video about 25 old tech that is better than new tech, for that matter. And, um, I guess I have it else to say since I grew up in that transitional period where we still had some of that old tech, but at the same time, the new tech was starting to emerge at that point, because after all, I'm a kid in the 80s at that point, and then during that whole 90s, I was like the tween age, my teenage years was also in the 90s and all that. And then, of course, like the aughts was like my 20s and all that. So, anyways, as I was gonna have to mention here, like one was, I would also say is like the TV, because back then, that all we had to do as far as like cable TV was just, you know, plug in and connect the cable there to the cable socket, and then just watch TV instead of just having to fiddle around with the set top boxes and all of that, you know. But even before that, there was just the old over broadcast, which is okay if you live in a place like LA or New York or Chicago or something like that, but for other places that are a little bit more rural, then you're kind of have limited options as far as that goes, I would say. Yeah. But considering all that, you know, the other thing was it was also the phone was another thing there, because I even saw like a report about all these parents who aren't really ready to give their kids a cell phone yet, now are using the regular old landline phones for their kids there, because it's part of it was a cheaper alternative, I would say there, you know, when it comes to that. Yeah. But in the past, it was just that when it came to the phones, we just simply just plugging them to the phone socket, and that's it. There was just no need to have like an internet gateway for that, because like here, like where I live, it's like we had to have that little gateway thing for the old landline phone. Yeah. But as far as that goes, I mean, what if like we had like emergencies and all that? Because back a couple of times when the power was out, I was able to use the phone, when the power was out, because of the fact that it was powered by the phone company uh, rather than the electric company. Or I think that's how it goes, but correct me if I'm wrong. But so anyways, the other thing I would also say that might have been better was, of course, I think some people did say that was like the whole how the physical buttons on certain things, because a lot of them have too many menus to go through when it comes to like the touch screens, especially when it came to like the newer cars this time around, where if they wanted to um, turn on the air conditioner or the heater there, then they have to go through all these different menus to turn on the air conditioner or the heater or something like that, instead of, you know, doing, just pressing a little button and then there's the heater or there's the air conditioner or something like that. So that was like one of the little things there. Because I even remember um, when when my dad got the Z back then. That was like the first one of the Nissan cars where they started to have like the little controls on the dash on the on the steering wheel there, and that was like one of the times where they had a digital speedometer, you know, but um, but now I don't think we really have digital speedometers anymore, at least not that I know of, you know. So that was one of those little things there. So, anyways, I guess that's probably it because, you know, since I need to charge up this phone that I'm using anyways, so talk to you guys later.